NFL players have a lot to consider in free agency.
I'm not sure this will be an upgrade, not because of Sam Darnold's talent, but because you're not able to execute up to your talent when you don't have time to throw the football.
Not everyone gets it right. Let's take a look at the 2025 free agency thus far and call out 10 guys that got it wrong. Sam Darnold, Seattle Seahawks. It actually happened. The Seahawks traded Geno Smith to Vegas and handed the franchise over to Sam Darnold on a 3-year, $100.5 million deal. The reunion with offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak definitely makes sense. Darnold worked with him as a backup in San Francisco. But the question is not so much around the Seahawks' interest, but rather the long-term fit for Darnold. I mean, come on. Seattle? This is currently a team in transition. DK Metcalf is gone. The O-line is a mess. And now Darnold's going from playing in Kevin O'Connell's QB-friendly system in Minnesota to this. There were better options for Darnold. I mean, staying put with the Vikings and betting on JJ McCarthy not being able to rise to the level could honestly have made even more sense here. Or how about the aforementioned Pittsburgh Steelers, a franchise with an actual identity and a number of interesting weapons around him? That would also be pretty logical. But no, in Seattle, there's just a serious risk that the bottom falls out and he's back to square one. Drew Dalman, Chicago Bears. Okay, Drew Dalman, we see you. You're the highest paid center in football. Congrats. Now enjoy snapping the ball to Caleb Williams while he holds on to it for 12 years and enjoy the general dysfunction of the Chicago Bears organization at large. Sure, Dalman cashed in, but if he was looking for on-field success, he really should have gone to a run-heavy offense, particularly one with a quarterback that can get rid of the ball efficiently and quickly. I mean, think about Dalman getting slotted in on the Chargers line, where he could have helped pave the way for a legit rushing attack and a talented young quarterback in Justin Herbert. But instead, well, he's in Chicago, where Williams' quote-unquote patience in the pocket is about to seriously test his patience. J.C. Horn, Carolina Panthers. The Panthers just made J.C. Horn the highest paid corner in NFL history. 4 years, $100 million. That is a big-time contract. That is franchise cornerstone money. So, of course, we understand a lot of the decision-making process that took place in the Horn household. But, hey, has he checked in who he's playing for? Carolina has been stuck in an endless rebuild, and unless something miraculous happens, that defense is getting shredded in 2025. And now, instead of using this breakout year to cash in with a team ready to win, he's putting his faith on a Panthers team that doesn't even know what direction it's heading. Tampa Bay was honestly just a perfect fit. They've got an established defense that blitzes the heck out of the opposing offense, which would have created a number of great opportunities for him in the defensive backfield. Heck, they really could have made a serious run with a top right corner to shore up their secondary. But instead, Horn is staying in Charlotte, where his elite coverage skills will be wasted covering receivers while his team gives up 30 points a game. Good for Carolina for locking down a quality corner, but Horn might regret that once their defense is getting torn to shreds next season. Dan Moore Jr., Tennessee Titans. 4 years, $82 million, with $50 million being guaranteed and $30 million in year one. You know, not a bad payday for Dan Moore at all. But at what cost, you have to wonder. Moore was one of the most sought-after offensive tackles on the market, and for pretty damn good reasons. He's young, durable, and a proven starter. He had options. The Chiefs were reportedly interested. The Bengals could have used a guy like him. Even the Dolphins would have made sense. But instead, he's going to be counting his money in the Music City while the prime of his career wastes away playing for a train wreck of an organization. Tomlinson, Houston Texans. Hey, credit to Houston for signing Tomlinson to a relative bargain. A low-cost deal, a veteran presence. The O-line needed some serious reinforcements, and they got a seasoned interior lineman. But for Tomlinson, this is a disaster just waiting to happen. Because the fact of the matter is that at 33 years old, Tomlinson is on the clear downslope of his career. I mean, it was obvious last season that he was in decline, and now he's joining a Houston offensive line that needed a complete overhaul, not just a patch scratch job. He is definitely better than what the Texans had at guard last year, but he is far from a stable answer. Tomlinson himself probably would have been better off joining a team with a more stable offensive line that he could have been a complimentary piece on. Minnesota is one landing spot that honestly comes to mind. Playing in O'Connell's offense would be ideal for an aging vet, but now he's rolling the dice on being the Band-Aid for Houston's protection issues. Daniel Jones, Indianapolis Colts. From franchise quarterback in New York to getting cut to a backup gig in Minnesota and now competing for a job in Indianapolis. Jones's one-year deal with the Colts is a low risk for Indy, but high risk for his career. Obviously, there is not the same long line of suitors for Jones as some others on this list, but competing against a guy that the team has invested so much in is not ideal. He might have benefited from another year in mini revamping under O'Connell, or heck, joining Seattle or Pittsburgh, who were both in need of a quarterback. But instead, he's now in Indy, where his best case scenario is winning a slanted competition for a terrible team. And his worst case scenario is holding a clipboard all season. Grady Jarrett, Chicago Bears. The edge rushers inked a deal in the Windy City mere hours after he was released by the Falcons after 10 years with the team, in a move that cleared over $16 million in cap space. But I don't know. Was Chicago really the right spot? Because, come on, let's face it, the Bears are a team still trying to figure out how to stop a nosebleed on defense. Last year, the crew had holes all over it, and at this stage of his career, he might have been wise to sign with a contender with a young defense that he could play a rotational role in. You know, a team like the Los Angeles Rams. Imagine lining up next to Jarrett Verse, playing in a scheme designed for defensive linemen to feast. Or heck, even in Baltimore, where he could have rotated in and stayed fresh for a deep playoff run. Talk about a completely different dynamic than what he'll do with the Bears, where he's going to be expected to be the guy on the interior of the defensive line. Charvarius Ward, Indianapolis Colts. Leaving the 49ers, even after a down year, to agree to terms with the Colts is, it's a move. Indianapolis isn't just a team that is laboring away in mediocrity. That squad is in shambles from top to bottom. And look, we get it. San Francisco might have had a challenging season and a number of cap issues. But if he didn't want to re-sign with the 49ers, man, there had to be a better option out there. Ward just spent the last 2 seasons playing for a team with legitimate Super Bowl aspirations, getting playoff experience, and benefiting from a loaded defensive front that made his job so much easier. And now he's leaving that for whatever the Colts are. Well, whatever the Colts are failing to build currently. This isn't a case of ring chasing versus cashing out. This is a genuine downgrade in just about every single way. Indy is a fringe playoff team at best. Their secondary was a mess last year, and Ward is not enough to fix that. I mean, at least in Tampa or something, he could have slotted into Todd Bowles' defense, which actually has an identity, but instead, he's heading to Indianapolis to spend his Sundays getting torched, being part of a team that is going to struggle to break 500. Kai Becton, Los Angeles Chargers. Kai Becton has fought through injuries, inconsistencies, and being written off entirely by the league. Then he rebuilt his career as a Super Bowl winning offensive lineman. He finally had stability, a winning culture, and a coaching staff that knew how to use him. And then he decided to leave that all for the Chargers. Okay, so if long-term security was the goal, fine. But this is a former first-rounder who's finally starting to rebuild his reputation. Maybe stick with the team that just helped you do exactly that? I don't know. But instead, he's now rolling the dice with the Chargers, a franchise that's made an art out of underachieving. I mean, we understand him wanting to cash in, especially given his injury history. But it is hard to think about leaving such a juggernaut that would have surely had a chance at repeating. Cooper Kupp, Seattle Seahawks. News recently broke that Cooper Kupp had agreed to terms on a 3-year, $45 million deal with the Seahawks, and, well, the media is certainly eating that up. A Washington homecoming. The story just writes itself. Kupp is originally from Washington, and not only did the Super Bowl 56 MVP grow up there and play his high school games under the lights of the Pacific Northwest, but he also attended Eastern Washington University. Unfortunately, the problem football side of it is a disaster. He's now going to be catching passes from Sam Darnold, who, yeah, had a nice year last season, but come on, he is no Matthew Stafford. And he is going to feel lost when he realizes that Sean McVay is not scheming up opportunities for him anymore. He's joining a team that just traded and cut its top 2 targets, and desperately needed reinforcements. But at his age, with his injury history, he's not the guy to do that anymore. Baltimore would have been a perfect fit. Lamar needs a veteran receiver who can work the middle of the field. Or maybe Buffalo even, where Josh Allen could have used a technician like Kupp to add some depth to a rather inexperienced wide receiver room. But now he's going to fade into irrelevance on a team that might be in the middle of a full-scale teardown by December. Yeah, he's won a ring already, but at this stage of his career, you have to think he'd want to be contending instead of an on-the-fly rebuild with Seattle. But hey, which NFL free agent do you think most screwed up with where they signed? Who do you think we got right here? Who do you think we got wrong? Was there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comments section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.